Good morning. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Janine, and this is my Flosstube channel where I talk about cross stitch and nature and whatever else comes to mind. So I appreciate you being here today. All right, this time I'm starting off the video with something a little bit unusual. I was contacted a few months ago by a company that makes the BenQ Genie e-reading desk lamp. I have to get the name right here. And they wanted to send me a lamp so that I could share my thoughts. And I don't know about you, but I tend to have a lot of lamps everywhere for reading, for stitching, for different sizes and shapes, depending on where they're located, what's available for them to sit on, if they have to be on the floor, on a table, whatever. Lots of lamps. So I'm always happy to try a new lamp. I have I have a Stella lamp on my desk. I have another lamp right up here. I've got lamps by every chair. There's a lot of lighting in this house. So one more is always welcome. And they sent me this lamp. Now, they did give it to me for free, just asked me to share my thoughts with you, so I'm going to do that. Like I said, it's a little unusual, not something I've done before, but I am happy to share my thoughts in case they're helpful for anyone else. So, this is a nice tall lamp, which actually is my preference, but it doesn't have a huge shade, which makes it a little bit flexible to work with. That's one of the things that I really like about it. You can also shift both this arm here and this part here to angle the light just the way you want it, and because it leans over quite far, you can have it on a table next to your chair and still lean it pretty far over to get the light where you want it. Now, it is maybe a little ironic given that the name is the Genie lamp, but the way that you turn it off and on is by tapping it. So it took me a little bit to adjust to that, although now I quite like it because I had started out with it by my bed to see how it performs when I'm reading on my tablet, and it was great. But I often put on lotion right before I go to bed to try and get my hands to recover overnight, and then I'm trying to twist the little stem on my lamp to turn it off, and this one you just go tap. So it, like I said, it was a little bit of an adjustment, but I like it. Now, it has a couple of light modalities, and you can turn it up or down. It automatically senses how much light is in the room when you turn it on, so that you can, oops, there we go, so that it will adjust. If you're in a very dark room, it won't turn on very brightly and blind you all of a sudden. It also uses LEDs, which is great for the amount of light. I have found sometimes that they cause a lot of eye strain for me, flickering and whatnot, and this is meant to not do that, which I haven't had the LED headache, I haven't had tired eyes, and it hasn't been hard reflecting off my screen. I've only been using it for about a week, but yeah, overall I'm really quite pleased. Not just for a free lamp, but if I had spent the money to buy it, I think I'd still be very happy with what it was doing. So I'll put all the info in the comments. If you're looking for a lamp, this might be one to consider depending on what you're after. Moving on to the normal things, starting with stitching in action, we have From Nature to My Needle, stitched by Lauren S. And she did it on 36 count earthen from Picture This Plus with all the called for threads. This one is all DMC. I wanted to take a minute too and talk a little bit about the design. You may have seen me discuss it before, but this one is all about the natural things that we use in stitching. So we've got the blue flax flowers, we've got silk moths, we've got the mulberry leaves, and we have animals that provide fibers we use. We also have, I designed the border, which I was chatting with someone about at market because I took this model to market. It is inspired by the way that we have our threads twisted together, especially DMC, the different plies twisted together. So wonderful, Lauren. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love the fabric that you chose, and I appreciate always seeing it's one of my personal favorites, so it's always nice to see it come to life. Next up, we have Spring for a Scrapbook. This is the couple of the designs that I did with Stephanie, and Trudy M has stitched them up and finished all of them. I don't know if Steph will or has already shared the part that she designed, but Trudy sent us pictures of both, and I really particularly love the way that she used the very fluffy chenille to edge these. I think it's, well, I just love the way it came out, and I like that particular very, very fluffy chenille trim that she used. So thank you, Trudy, for sharing that. On to what I'm stitching. I actually have quite a bit of progress on the Pilsner Memorial Sampler, which is fun. I may have to divert again soon to work on some models for Needlework Expo at the end of August, but it's been a treat to keep getting a couple more border sections done. I know I've talked about how much I love this border, and I really do. I don't know if you ever have a part of a design that you really want to stitch, and I try to be good about finishing a whole page before I move to the next page, but sometimes I just want to keep going with the parts that I love. And this border for me is the parts that I love. I've been skipping some elements as I go along because I haven't decided if I want to change them or move them. But most of what is going to happen is there now. I haven't done the lettering at the bottom because it's the date when it was finished, and obviously I don't know what that will be. So we'll come back to that. But the border has just been fun. And honestly, the border, if you do it, is most of this design. So by the time you get the border done, there's just not that much left to do. So lots of progress. I'm loving it. As before, I'm putting the picture in here because it's gotten so large. It's hard to hold it up and get a good view, but we've got a good photograph to work from. On to Stash Spotlight. Oh, I forgot to say on the Pilsner Memorial, it's Marianne Mitton originally. Obviously, I've been drunk with power, as per usual. I'm just having a ball with that border, changing all the colors. Stash Spotlight, this time from Hands on Design, Stitch in the Garden. And I love this because it gives you 3 different little finishes. I've only ever tried this top finish. I haven't stitched this design, but I've done the finish. And I actually got this chart so that I could learn how to do that particular finish, which great instructions from Kathy, as always. But you've got this great little block finish here, and then this little scissor fob with all the great scissors. I love this design. It just feels very summery and stitchy, which are some of my favorite things. And it comes with this little piece of felt for this tomato motif here, which you just apply onto the top of the stitch when you're done, which I haven't done. I'm a little intimidated by that, but again, I have confidence in Kathy's instructions, and I'll just go slow, and it's not going to be irreversible because you're just stitching it on. It's not like it's glued and you can't back up and redo something if you need to. So maybe once I finish Pilsner's piece, I'll get something like that out. Next up, the world around. This time, I have chosen the American Coot. Now, this is actually a bird that I see quite a bit when I'm out walking. The dogs aren't very interested in the water birds right now. They're 100% about seeing rabbits, but I like to see the water birds. And this is one that likes marshy areas and flooded wetlands like we have right next to our walking path. So it's one that I see. It looks fairly typical. Look at this little black bird, pointy little beak. But then it gets out of the water and those feet are just unmistakable. They're so amazing. I love them. They eat primarily aquatic plants, so pretty much vegetarian, although I think they eat some insects as well. And they build nests with little ramps in them so that the chicks can get easily in and out of the water. Now, those chicks, oh my goodness, are they bright. Most baby birds kind of blend in, they're hiding, staying away from predators. And there are these guys who look like they've been playing with the finger paints, and they are as bright as can be with these random orange feathers sticking out all over them like, I don't know, LSD porcupines or something. The bright, bright feathers don't last very long, but I think the trade-off is that both the male and female will defend the nest very fiercely. And so that's how these very bright colored chicks manage in the first week or so when they're still pretty vulnerable, because their parents are just making it not worth a predator's time to come down and get them, even though they can be spotted from the air. Now, they have a little bit shorter wings, so they're not great at takeoffs, and so they have to use those fantastic feet to run across the top of the water before they can actually get liftoff into the air. So there you go, the American Coot. Last week, I had asked you a question about your favorite vegetable, and I got a lot of favorites from people. I got a few least favorites from people, and I thought I would take a minute to share my personal least favorite and why it is my least favorite. And I think the very top of that list, there are a couple of vegetables I don't enjoy, but beets. I do not like beets. And I've tried them over and over and just come to conclude that I don't like beets. But I can track it all back when I was younger, and I was always trying to lose weight, you know, when you're especially a teenager and the world is telling you that's what you need to do. And I was too young to know that it's not as simple as following, in this case, the strange diet that was printed in the paper where you ate ice milk and canned beets 3 meals a day. It, of course, didn't work, naturally. I don't know why anyone would think it would, but it didn't. And I really don't like beets ever since. So there you go. If you're looking for some reason for a diet that maybe changes your appearance a little bit, I do not recommend ice milk and beets. And if you love beets, I am very happy for you, and I will give you all of mine because I still can't eat them. All right, so my question for you then is specifically any vegetables or any food whatsoever that you really don't like. Just no matter what, don't like it. My husband hates marshmallows, which again works out. I get he legit hates them, and I just take care of that and don't make things with marshmallows. And if we come across marshmallows, I take care of those for him, and he eats all my beets. So let me know what it is that you just really don't care for. All right, best thing this video, my son just graduated from high school, and I am so proud of him. Like so many kids, these last couple years have been tough for him, and so it's especially meaningful. Graduation can be a real defined milestone between stages of life. You don't always get too many of those, but graduation is one of them. And so it was a real emotional experience for all of us. And yeah, just very, very proud of him that he did that, and looking forward to seeing what he does next. Giveaway last video was one of these little adorable tiny boxes that I got from Quilter Station, just a little box with these rolls of fabric. There are 2 options. One is that bright colored one, and then one is this more beachy colored one, and there's a little pattern instruction printout here. The word that you had to use to win was tiny, and the person who won is Susan Hernandez. So Susan, get in touch with me. Let me know which one of the color schemes you would like. Send me your address, and I will send that off to you. I look forward to seeing what you do with it. And if nothing else, you've got an adorable little tiny box at the end. Thank you, Susan. This video, the giveaway, is a pattern which shall not be named by me because I don't speak French and I don't want to mispronounce too badly. But this is from Madame Chantilly. I love the soft colors, and there are actually 4 designs. I don't know if you can see. This one here with the houses and the sheep, or the house and the sheep. This one with the shepherdess and her stitching. It's with the little sheep holding the pincushion basket with the scissors. And on houses up top, we've got this one with just the shepherdess. Let me see if I can get a better view here. And then this little one here, looks like a little scissor fob or a tiny cushion, but just fun, beautiful, soft colors. So this week, use the word sheep in your comment, and I will send you this great little pattern so you can stitch up maybe 1 or more of those things. Always nice to have some options when you go to an event and there's a smalls exchange, so you can do something quick. And it's nice to have something that finishes up quickly because you feel so, I don't know, accomplished. It's nice to get something done, especially as I'm working on a big project that takes a long time that I'm working at for ages. It's nice sometimes to just have something that finishes very, very quickly. I don't have any announcements this time. That's it for me. We do have a normal puppy video at the end, so for those of you who like to see the dogs, they're ready for you. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a lovely weekend. We have a fairly quiet weekend, some things for my husband and his father, and I have a couple of plants to plant, but otherwise should be relaxing, and I hope you get a very renewing couple of days before you have to go back to work next week. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you again in a couple of weeks. Bye.